usual group of serious reporters who are diligently informing us of trial proceedings against various drug traffickers, Mexican drug traffickers here in the U.S. Um, just yesterday, in the Eastern District Court of New York, Mayo Zambada was informed via a letter from that was presented from the side of the prosecutors to Judge Kogan, detailing how Mayo Zambada's son and his brother would potentially testify against him. It was also permitted that the same lawyer assigned to, well, not assigned, but hired by Vicentillo Zambada would also represent El Mayo. So what that proceeding was entirely, which was entirely a sham, right? Because imagine you have one an accused criminal using the lawyer of an admitted criminal. Both of them are related, and the judge, because of the obvious procedural issues, has to say, I agree to this potential conflict of interest. And in fact, Judge Kogan had initially objected because of the obvious procedural issues to Frank Lopez being the representative for both El Mayo and Vicentillo. And now Judge Kogan has waived that issue. And so, what we can address on this live is the implications of that procedural issue moving forward. Moving forward now, and Mayo will be represented by Frank Lopez, who also represents his son. His son will potentially testify if it even goes to trial. Hint, hint, it won't. But that procedure was just to avoid any issues moving forward. That procedure was to say, hey, you guys can use the same lawyer since we already know the outcome of this. It's a little bit like um, predetermining from a legal standpoint what will happen. And what will happen is in Mayo Zambada, as is so common in drug trafficking organizations, will testify against other key, will become a protected witness, as is so common today. Um, Drug traffickers become protected witnesses when they provide such valuable intelligence to both the Department of Justice and other entities within the U.S. government. Um, for either foreign policy or, in this case, the incrimination of other drug traffickers. And I think what we're observing is the evolution of the Mayo Zambada's collaboration with the U.S. government. There have long been rumors, which seem fairly well substantiated, that there was always some type of contact between El Mayo and some three-letter agencies that conduct foreign policy abroad. And more importantly, there is also the sense that he turned himself in voluntarily. In fact, Hector Berreyes, the former um, head of Operación Leyenda, Operation Legend, uh, went on various social media platforms to provide his take and his sources on the issue. And in his world, in his view, Mao Zambada turned himself in, had a farewell party with all of his close relatives in somewhere in Sinaloa, and then turned himself in, along with one of El Chapo's sons. So for them, it's as well turning themselves in and securing the wealth of their families in exchange for their personal imprisonment is part of the business, is part of the game. In other words, if you can secure a lifetime of riches for your personal use, extended personal use, this being your family, then it's worth the price of imprisonment, right? Much like many people sentence themselves to 40 years of 9 to 5s and predetermined um, ins and outs of a corporate job, these people just turn themselves in after having made an extreme amount of money in an illicit and clandestine economic operation. So, hey, how you doing? Make sure to give us a like so that we can extend the reach of this platform. We're going live and talking about El Mayo Zambada's potential testimony, sorry, in New York. So Hello to everyone. Welcome. Please give us a like. Yeah, hi. It'll help the channel grow. And hello. Thank you for joining. And what we're doing right now is we're going over the details of Mayo Zambada, one of the more famous and sly drug traffickers of Mexico, and the implications of him becoming a protected witness. Um, so what we've gone over at this point is the fact that his son will testify potentially against him. Judge Kogan permitted his son and Elmayo Zambada to use the same lawyer. Now, in any um, setting, the fact that the same lawyer is shared by both the accused and a witness is an obvious conflict of interest. And so, what Mayo Zambada was essentially waiving his right to avoiding a conflict of interest. And in this sense, Judge Kogan has permitted the procedural um, irregularity to move forward. More than likely, Mayo Zambada will not take this to trial because what the prosecutors and the judge are laying out from a legal perspective is that one, they can have relatives and people who share the same lawyer testify against them, which is odd, right? And also that the death penalty is certainly a a option for Mayo Zambada. So Mayo Zambada could face the death penalty because he was not extradited formally. He didn't go through the Mexican prison system or the Mexican extradition treaty. Instead, he turned himself in, as many people have attested. Jesus Esquivel, El Proceso's Washington correspondent, and Hector Berreyes, a former DEA agent who participated in a high-profile uh, investigation on the murder of Kiki Camarena. So these two very credible sources are attesting that Mayo Zambada simply turned himself in, and as a matter of procedure, their family members, who are all beneficiaries of this protected testimony, will testify against Mayo Zambada. So that's what we are observing. That's what we are attesting right now. And it's something that will certainly indicate that Mayo Zambada will become a protected witness. I think that's what's the key takeaway here. So very interesting. It's how the cookie crumbles in the drug world. And I think they know that as well. So they're willing to pay their time since they've already committed certain activities and extracted the wealth from them, and they're going to share them and come to a negotiation because drug trafficking can never be stopped. It's just controlled, curtailed, monitored, and registered for potential tax liabilities and extortion down the line, right? From both government and the drug trafficking actors. So thank you for joining, and I hope that update is useful for those of you who want to know what's going on with Mayo Zambada.